Well, howdy there, y'all. Yamasaki here, and welcome back to the channel. And since the white death powder is upon us once again, the snow, it's going to lock us out from the outside. We're going to be stuck inside. Figured it's time to start doing some smaller projects. And today, we're going to finally be reviving this nearly, if not over, 100-year-old 1920s Coleman Quicklite L327 lantern. So stay tuned. Now, I purchased this thing, probably a couple of years ago now. Got it with a haul of a whole bunch of other Coleman lanterns, and this one's the oldest one out of the bunch. It's just been sitting on the shelf waiting for its time to boot back up and, rock and roll as a lantern again. And over these last couple of weeks, I finally, put it in my head like, hell, this thing's a small enough project. I can probably get it done within a couple days. Got all the parts and everything goes smoothly, There's not much to this thing. This is exactly how I got it. It's all complete. It's all there. I don't have a pump, and it's missing the mica glass, which is some form of mineral that kind of acts like glass, but this thing just had remnants of what was once a mica globe. So I'm going to have to purchase one of those. I'm going to have to take this thing fully apart. I'm not really going to restore it, I'm going to keep the patina on the cap and, the frame and everything, but I did buy some polish to try and polish up this nickel a little bit. I got a new generator that I'll show you guys in a little bit. The only concern that I have with this thing, if I can find it here, right there, that burner cap is cracked, and went on the website a couple weeks ago and they have two different types of burners for these. The Coleman 327s, L327s, and 427s are practically the same, so they have a lot of parts that interchange, but back in the day they made what they called the round top burner. It's got a little bit more curves to the top there, and then a flat top burner. And this one seems to be more on the realm of flat top, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I'm going to have to take this thing off and check again, but I don't think these burners come off, or these burner caps. Maybe they do, but I have not seen any replacement burner caps as parts for these lanterns. So I might just end up having to buy a whole new burner, because I don't know if when I light it and fire this thing up, if the flame's just going to shoot out the side there and screw everything up. So I'm going to have to diagnose that. Like I said, I don't have a pump. The valve is free, but it is very stiff. Very stiff. So I think where I'm going to start, let's just go ahead and take this cap off. It doesn't even have the original, what do they call it? The cap nut. This just has an old square nut, and I think I'm actually going to keep this on there just because, it adds a little bit of redneck repair to it. I just used what they had lying around. The only other concern I have is this right here, the top piece. This actually unscrews from the burner here, and they do make replacement parts. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get that rusty maggot out of that hole there. But it's kind of interesting how these lanterns, this one in particular, the Quicklite, this one's called a Quicklite. I don't know if I showed you guys, but on the cap there, they embossed all their stamping and everything in it, which I thought was really cool. The Coleman Lamp Company. Look at that. And then on the band here, it actually says Quicklite. A whole bunch of holes drilled in there, which I thought very, very cool. Very cool. But anyway, the way these come together and get apart and everything is that nut right there holds this loop-de-doop-de generator. So I'm going to have to get that off. But it is fairly rusted, so I'm going to have to do some work on it, put some oil in it, maybe heat it up with the torch. Same with this figure 8 piece. I can't remember. I think it's screwed on there and screwed onto the burner. And I think what I got to do is I got to get a wrench in here, and I got to just slowly start trying to pry it off. But I'm going to do the same thing I'm going to do with that generator nut, is clean it up, put some heat to it, put some oil in there, let it soak, and see if a miracle happens. It's like I said, 1920s, and I could be wrong. I don't know how long they made these old Quicklites, but they're really old at this point. I figured before we get started, I'll show you that generator. This is known as a Q99 generator, and they're made specifically for these old Quicklites, just because they use this weird loop-de-doop. And I don't know, on these old ones, you kind of have to preheat this thing with a torch before you even open the valve and let fuel in. That way it's already vaporized, because I don't know, this old one just doesn't efficiently heat it up as well. I don't know. I don't know how this thing works, so just gonna have to learn as I go through this. But yeah, I got a nice little generator. I think it's new old stock. I don't know how old it is. You know, they're still making them today, I think, but this one is definitely new old stock. There we go. Finally got it out of there. Look at that thing. It's old. It's got some patina, but I don't think it's ever really been fired. I don't know if there's paint or thread locker or anti-seize on that little nut there, but yeah, we're going to replace that with that. And, you know, I'm going to take it all the way down. I'm going to clean the tank, make sure the valve's working, slap this new generator on, and damn thing should fire. So, yeah, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to blow this thing off, and then we're going to take the Dremel tool with a wire brush and get in there, see if we can get some rust out. Then we're just going to let it soak with some oil for a little bit, see what happens. Put some heat to it. Alright, so now I'm going to just do a little bit of heating with this torch. I'm using a very small butane torch because, you know, I doubt this thing has any fuel in it, but supposedly there's a cotton wick in that generator that kind of holds the fuel, and as it gets hot, then it turns it into a gas. So I just want to get enough flame on here to expand the metal a little bit, so I can get some oil down where I need it to. So I'm being very careful. And fortunately, it seems that the burner here is loose. So I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that too much. It's just that generator nut now. So I'm just going to keep laying some heat on it every now and then. These things are very reliable and very safe if you know how to heat them up properly and make sure they got good fuel. Everything, all the crevices and piping and everything is clear of obstructions. These things, they'll run forever. That's why there's still parts being made for them. Alright, so we got heat to it, and now I'm just going to add some of this Lucas Extreme Duty gun oil to those threads. And I'm just going to let it soak. So I'll get some in there. Just let it soak, do its thing. Might have to come back and add a couple drops, but just see how this stuff does. I was thinking about using Marvel's mystery oil, but I think this gun oil, being a little thinner and being able to withstand some heat as it's needed, I think it might seep down into those threads a little better. Okay, so I managed to get it apart just a little bit more, and got the frame soaking in evaporust. After I took it off and inspected it, it seemed like there was a little more rust on there than I was comfortable with, so went ahead and just dumped that in there, as well as the top of the burner just in the evaporust so it can get towards that top piece that holds the cap on here. There is the old generator. In fact, this thing was so stiff, it was still stuck on the tube here, so it actually started twisting the tube till it got so tight it finally freed up. So now the one issue I'm running into now is this. I don't know if this was a nut at one point or a circular nut, you know, with texture on it so you can just unscrew it with your hand, but it's so rusty I can't identify what it is, you know. It doesn't look like a nut, but maybe. So I really need to take the wire wheel to that and some heat and let oil seep into that, because that, after I get that off, it's going to allow me to get this plate off. I can get this collar off, loosen up the valve stem here, and finally get down to the nitty gritty, which is the fount, and see the condition of that. Alright, there we go. We got it all torn apart now. I just did the same procedure I did on the generator nut with that thing right there. Heated it up, wire wheeled it, and then put some gun oil in there, let it soak, and it came off with some persuasion, but I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's no threads left on that. There's nothing left. It was just held on by what rust was on it, so I'm going to need to find a replacement one of those. And then my only other concern aside from that and the burner cap crack is this valve stem packing here. I can't really tell if it's in good shape or not, but possibly judging by how stiff it is when it's in there, it might still be sealing, so I might be okay on that. The fount, I haven't really taken a good look inside it yet, but it's a pretty clean unit. I mean, that'll polish up okay. It's definitely spotty and showing its age, but I can still see the shine in there. I think it'll shine up really good. And then parts like these, I'm just gonna take a toothbrush with some soap and water to them, clean them up, call it good. You might have noticed that the frame as well as the burner assembly are not here. They're actually in the evaporust getting some treatment, because just wasn't comfortable with how much rust was on that frame and the burner cap tip that you put your nut on. It was way too rusty for my liking, so I wanted to get that out of there. So, as for now, I just need to start cleaning all these parts, making sure they're all in good working order, and then start putting the darn thing back together. How about that? And kaboom, there is all the parts. Just got the burner, the valve assembly, and the frame left to clean. These two were in the evaporust, and they did their job the best they could, but it's a lot of thick rust right there on the bottom there. Wire wheel will take care of that though. Did some polishing on the fount. That's just one layer, so I think maybe one or two more layers ought to really shine that puppy up. Got a pump on order. I think I managed to find the right nut I need for right here that'll fit. Measured that with some calipers and turned out to be 1/2 inch. It's probably fine thread, so yeah, the only thing I'll need to get is a globe, but we can wait on that. I might just get a regular old glass globe instead of the mica globe. Now for the fun part, which is putting it all back together and seeing if it'll fire up. Managed to get myself a nice little pump. Thought it would be bigger, but all it needs to do is get air into the tank, and it works straight out of the box. It's in beautiful shape. Cleaned up the burner assembly. It's all nice and shiny now. I did a second layer of polish on the fount, and it's beautiful. I don't want to touch it anymore. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Finished up the frame, slapped some clear coat on it. Done it to my 200As, and it seems to hold up just fine even with all that heat, so Figured prevent rust, get a nice layer on there, call it good. Now one thing that I did discover with this, actually two things, we'll go over both of those, is that little collar piece that I found, well, that's actually a spacer. And if you remember earlier, this piece was underneath the frame. And it's actually supposed to be on top of the frame. It kind of acts like a giant clamp to keep that frame in place, which I did not know, because it actually goes just like this on the burner assembly. And when you screw it on, you make sure those tabs are locked on there to that 8 nut. And yeah, it's just a little clamp, little shield. So figured out the mystery there. And then if you'll note, on this 327, since it has that external pump, it needs a little notch cut out on the frame right there. So I need to line that up with the fuel port right there. And it should work. So I think the first thing we got to do here is get this valve assembly put back in the fount. And then, yeah, we'll just go from there. And voila, there she be, y'all. All put together, ready to roll. Now you'll notice I didn't put any mantles on. And I did that for a reason. I wanted to test out and pressurize it. And I actually did just pump it up about 20 times with the pump. You do have to unscrew this top insert on the fuel cap here. And that allows you to put air in, and then there's a check valve in here that doesn't allow the air to come out. And I don't hear any squealing, any leaking, so we're doing good so far. I'm going to crack the valve. There's no fuel in it I just want to crack the valve and see if we're getting anything. Oh yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it. I don't know if you guys can. Alright, that's a good sign. Means we're holding everywhere, and when we turn the valve, it's going to get fuel. Now, like I've said previously in this video, I'm probably going to have to, once I get the mantles burnt on and everything, I'm going to have to take the roof off, the top off, as well as the globe. Now, on the mic globes, they would have had a little window that you can insert your match and everything, but since I don't have that, I just have a glass globe here that I stole off of my 48 228D, I believe it is. The 220s and the 327s both have the same size frame, so you can put a glass or a mica one interchangeably on either one. So that's pretty cool. For now, this glass globe will work, but anytime I want to light it, I'll have to torch the generator to heat it up, have it pressurized, have fuel in it, then crack the valve. I'll be able to light it, put the globe back on and the cap back on, and boom. All said and done. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test fire it off camera, just because I don't want to be paying attention to the camera as well as the lantern. You know, first startups like this can be kind of dangerous. You never know what can happen, so I want to concentrate on it and make sure everything's good, and then after I test run it, I'll fire it up for y'all. So stay tuned. Alright, so I did a test run a couple hours ago, ran fantastic. It is a little bit dimmer on one mantle than the other, and I think that has to do with the crack in the burner. But other than that, runs just fine. So we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up. Take the nut off and the cap and the globe. I'll get the pump. We'll put some pressure in it and light it away. It really did turn out fantastic. Get the globe off there. And hang on just a second, guys. I have to go grab the pump. Alright, so I got the pump. I'm going to put a couple pumps into it. I think it's really cool that it needs an external pump. It just adds to the authenticity of this thing. I don't think we need too many. I don't know, do it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the generator. And this is just once that fuel hits that part of the generator, it's just going to vaporize instantly and it'll be off and running. Alright, I think that's hot enough. Crack the valve. And there we go. It is off and running. Put a couple more pumps into her. And we'll set her on full blast. And there we go. Full throttle. Both mantles are going. Put the top on. And there you go, guys. There's the 1920s Coleman Quicklite L327. Roaring away. And you can see there, the right mantle is a little brighter than the left, so I'm betting you that is the one that's cracked. But other than that, I just put a little more pressure in there, and this thing works fantastic. I think the mantles are a little bit bigger than what regular mantles are. You know, they're a little bit longer, but this thing seems to tolerate them just fine. Turned out beautiful. It's not perfect, but it's original. It is all original, aside from the generator. That's the only new thing on this, is a new generator. Awesome. Awesome stuff. And so that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. And Yamasaki out. We'll see y'all later.